Shoot, 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 shoot.
Hey guys, welcome. It's that time again. Sports and shorts of sorts. Your man Ren City back at it for episode 72. We're still trucking here. And I've done this a little different now, just like last week's episode. Instead of starting with the jersey mentions, we're going to bring them in after the sports. A little switch here as you do as you enter your 70s, I guess. So we'll start with the biggest thing in the world right now, the Olympics, the Summer Olympics in Paris, France. And we'll jump back to Monday. It's been a whole week. Last Monday, July 29th, there were medals getting given out. Judo, Canada's Krista Deguchi beat Korea's Mimi Hugh for our first gold medal in judo, in women's judo for Canada. So congrats on her winning that. All kinds of other medals going out. We had our skateboarding men's street final where Japan's Yutu Horigome won. Nigel Houston getting bronze. Jager Eaton winning silver. You had the artistic gymnastics men's team final. Japan winning gold. China silver. U.S. taking bronze. And swimming, you had Summer McIntosh. The summer of summer continued as she picked up her second medal of the game. She had first won a silver, that won a gold, and it wasn't even close. But if you wanted close, the men's 200-meter freestyle final, where Romania David Popovici won gold, Great Britain's Matthew Richards won silver, and Luke Hobson of the U.S. won third. It was one of the closest finishes you'll ever see. Gold to bronze was separated by 7/100ths of a second. Yeah, you heard that right. And then women's basketball, I'm going to talk basketball. I love it. And in the Olympics, it's always amazing. And what an amazing start for the Nigerian team as they took on Australia in women's hoops. And Australia, they're a threat. They want to win they want to win gold. That's what they're coming in here for. Sandy Brondolum, she's the coach of the New York Liberty, who has the best record in the WNBA. But Nigeria did not really care. Australia had the better start, but Nigeria battled back. Azine Kalu leading the team with 19 points and 5 rebounds. Huge upset for them, as this is their first Olympics since 2004 in Athens. And they came in and they beat Australia. Huge win for Nigeria. You had Germany taking on Belgium in women's hoops, and Belgium did not look ready to go. Germany had a huge 25-11 lead to start. They were up 46-25 at halftime. They easily cruised to victory. Satou Sabale, she's been injured in the WNBA for the Wings this season, but she's been balling out for Germany. Belgium's Emma Miesemann, she's a baller. She had 25 points in the loss, but she's been exciting this tournament. You had the women's Canadian team taking on the women's French team, and Canada went into halftime with a double-digit deficit, and it all really came from the second quarter. The first quarter was close, but Canada could not buy a hoop in the second. They were outscored 23-2 in that quarter, and it was all downhill from there. France took that win. The U.S. took on Japan, and it was almost comical looking at the size difference between the two teams. And then Japanese fans had signs saying you need Caitlin Clark to beat us, which was like, that got the team tripping a bit. And despite the disparity in height, the Americans only led 50-39 at half. This had people going, wait, is there an upset here? But there was not. Huge nights of former MVPs in the WNBA. Asia Wilson, 24 points, 13 boards, 4 blocks. Brianna Stewart, 22 points, 8 boards, 3 blocks. Easy win for the USA as they beat Japan 102-76. You had rugby sevens, let me tell you, over the Olympics, that became one of my go-tos to watch here. In the quarterfinals for women's, you had New Zealand crush China, USA beat Great Britain, Canada pulled off an unreal comeback to stun France. The crowd didn't know what to do, but rugby sevens, Canada won 19-14, and Australia crushed Ireland to eliminate them. And the men's singles and tennis has been something else in this Olympics. You had a big match with Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal. Djokovic killed him. It wasn't even close. Carlos Alcaraz won his match. Tsitsipas won his. Casper Ruud. All those guys went on. On the women's side, no real big upsets yet. You had Canadian Bianca Andreescu. I was hoping to have a big run. She bowed out to Donna Vekic in straight sets. It was. You had a big match between Alina Svitolina out of Ukraine taking on USA Jessica Pegula. So Svitolina dropped the first set, but came back to beat Pegula in 3 sets. Big battle there. You had the doubles, which were pretty interesting. Those are always fun to watch, especially at the Olympic level. Have no big upsets there. And on the women's doubles, you had kind of the same thing. Everybody who they were expecting to win at this point were kind of going on. And it was really interesting to see in beach volleyball. Always a stunning game to watch, especially with the Eiffel Tower backdrop. But on the men's side, Chase Budinger, you're like, wow, that name rings a bell. Yeah, he was an NBA baller. He won the McDonald's MVP, McDonald's High School Game MVP, sharing that title with Kevin Durant. But yeah, after his retiring games from the hoops, he went back to volleyball where he was a phenom in high school, and he's made the beach volleyball team. It was cool to see them win their opening game. Really awesome to see a multi-dimensional sport. And that was the big talks on Monday, which brought us into Tuesday. Got to see some more table tennis match. You saw Anthony Edwards from the Minnesota Timberwolves checking that out. More rugby sevens, all kinds of good stuff. You had shooting. You had our Turkish shooter who didn't have any protection, just rocking his shit out there. You had the women's team final in artistic gymnastics. This is the big one, and the USA avenged their silver from Tokyo, winning gold. Simone Biles is a huge part of that. Italy taking silver, and Brazil. The Brazilian gymnastics story is just amazing. We'll get more on that in a bit, but what they've done is, it's something else. And in swimming, what a win for Daniel Whiffen of Ireland, the 800-meter freestyle final. He was the first Irish swimmer to win a gold medal, and he broke an Olympic record doing it. The silver went to the American Bobby Fink, and bronze to Italian Gregorio Peltrineri, which brings us to the men's hoops, and what a game we got between Spain and Greece. This one was really close, but Spain opened up their lead in the second quarter and had a halftime lead in double digits. Greece battled back, but Spain was just too much. Giannis, another big night, 21 points, only missing 5 shots from the field with 11 boards. But they only had one other guy in double figures, while Spain, they had numerous. And Santi Aldama of the Memphis Grizzlies led the way in scoring with 19 points. Big night for Rudy Fernandez. He reached double figures in his 6th Olympics, the only basketball player to participate in 6 Olympics there. Very impressive. Canada and Australia, what a battle this was. You had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of Oklahoma City Thunder going up against Josh Giddey, his former teammate of many years. They grew up together, but Giddey had just been moved to the Chicago Bulls, and SGA got picked up 2 fouls not even 2 minutes into the game, so you thought that would make a big difference. And Josh Giddey was looking good. In Australia, they had a lead going in the halftime, but to start the third, Canada came out with a little more intensity, and they started having their way with things. RJ Barrett had a hell of a game, 20 points in just 3 quarters. He was doing it. Lou Dort just ripped the ball away from Josh Giddey for a breakaway dunk. Canada led going into the fourth quarter, and going down the stretch, Jamal Murray, he's had a quiet Olympic Games. Hasn't looked like Denver Nuggets Jamal Murray, but he made big plays when they needed to. And how about Kem Birch, the big man, not playing a lot of minutes, but getting minutes away from Kelly Olynyk to help out in that. And Canada would hold on for the 93-83 win. RJ Barrett, I mentioned, he had 24 points, 7 boards on the night. Gilgeous-Alexander and Dylan Brooks each had 16. Josh Giddey led the way for Australia with 19 points and 7 boards. Japan and France, this game, this was something else. Japan looked so small compared to France, especially when you had Wembanyama standing next to people. It was ridiculous, but this was an interesting game. France only had a 5-point lead going into the half, and it was a feisty second half. Japan taking a lead, and down the stretch, it would go either way. Gobert looked like he had a huge block or a huge dunk going up for the dunk, and he was stuffed at the rim by Hugh Watanabe. And then they'd go down, hit a big shot. It was going back and forth. You'd have a 4-point game. Japan looked like they had this wrapped up. After some free throws, like I said, a 4-point game, 16 seconds left. It'd be a scrambled French possession, but the ball would come out to Strazel, who had an outrageous 3-pointer, and they called a foul. He'd hit the foul, 4-point play to send it to overtime. Had no business going to overtime. And in overtime, it's like France realized, hey, we're taller. Started using that size again. Wemby hit some and ones, got a 3-point shot, and they ran away with it, or so you thought. But they cut it down to 2 with 6 seconds left. Strazel would get fouled and hit some free throws to avoid giving up a game that they had no business coming back to win. Like, I feel heartbreak for Japan in that one. Yuki Kawamura led the way for Japan, 29 points. And Rui Hachimura was really giving France some troubles before he was fouled out. He had 24 points. Wembanyama led the way for France with 18 and 11 as they escaped with a real tough victory there. You had Brazil taking on Germany, and it was a battle throughout, going toe to toe, where going in the halftime tied at 40. But in the second half, the Germans started taking the way, putting the Brazilians in foul trouble. And Dennis Schroeder led a balanced attack with 20 points, while Santos led Brazil with 18. But Germany walked away with the 86-73 win. Got to see some 3-on-3 basketball, which is always exciting. The women's U.S. team struggling out of the gate. You know, they were without Cameron Brink, who picked up that ACL injury. But they weren't as struggling as bad as the men's side. Yikes, they were really struggling out of the gate. Both these teams were struggling to get a win at all, as they both started out winless. You went to the footy play as they wrapped up group play in men's footy. Dominican Republic played Uzbekistan to 1-1. Egypt stunned Spain with a 2-1 victory, going up 2-0, allowing Spain in a late one, but holding on for the win. Argentina needing 2 goals in the second half to beat Ukraine 2-0. Morocco took down Iraq 3-0. France beating New Zealand 3-0. Staying with the 3-0 fever, the U.S. beat Guinea 3-0. Japan took out Israel with a late goal there. That's karma for that team. Paraguay needed an early goal to beat Mali 1-0. And then rugby sevens, we had the semifinals where New Zealand beat USA. Everybody was thinking USA with their run was gonna go to the final, but they'd go to the bronze medal game. And Canada, wow, stunning Australia to send Australia to the bronze medal game. Everyone was thinking New Zealand Australia final, not that day. And so you go to the bronze medal game where U.S. took on Australia, and Australia looked like they had things wrapped up. Up 12-7. USA was deep in their own territory as time was running out. Suddenly the Americans, just like that classic Queen song, break free, and they scampered the length of the field to tie the game up, knocking in the easy kick to go up 14-12. Like, literally a buzzer beater in rugby sevens, who, like I said, has become one of the coolest sports to watch. Malay bloomer on this one. Australia, they just looked heartbroken. They were hoping for gold. They ended up with no medals as the USA won bronze. And that took us to the gold medal game with New Zealand taking on Canada. New Zealand had the early lead. Canada jumped back to tie it. New Zealand would go on the attack, but Canada would intercept it and take the lead, going up 12-7. It didn't last long as New Zealand would get the ball and go up before scoring again. New Zealand took the gold medal, but man, what a run for Canada as they take silver. Best finish in Olympic rugby sevens, and like I said, one of the most exciting sports of the Olympics thus far. And there was some more tennis going on, and we'd have an upset. Jasmine Polini, who's had a great year of Italy, she lost in 3 sets to Slovakia's Carolina Schmidilova, sorry. And Coco Gauff, shared flag bearer for U.S., she lost in straight sets to Croatia Donna Vekic. Not what you expected for the shared flag bearer of the United States. Canada's Leila Fernandez, her run ended to Germany Angelique Kerber as she lost in straight sets. You had Zhang beating the U.S.'s Emma Navarro in 3 sets. Iga Swiatek won in straight sets to advance. On the men's side, Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime beat German Maximilian Mertwer to keep his running going. And most of the other favorites kept their run going as well. Women's doubles, same thing. Men's doubles, Alcaraz and Nadal needed a 3rd set tiebreak to keep their run going. You also had Evans and Murray needing a 3rd set tiebreak to keep Murray going. We know Murray was going to retire once this tournament ends for him. And that was about it for Tuesday. And that brought us into Wednesday. And the days opened up with a triathlon. It was originally not going to go down because of how nasty that water is, but it went down. And on the women's side, France's Cassandra Beaugrand won gold, Switzerland Julie Durand silver, and Beth Potter won bronze. On the men's side, Great Britain's Alex Yee won gold, New Zealand's Hayden Wild silver, and France's Leo Berger won the bronze. You also get to see some BMX freestyle, which is really cool. I like to see that. China's Yawen Dang won gold on the women's side, US's Paris Benegas silver, Australia Natalia Deem bronze. On the men's side, Argentina Jose Torres Gil. I can't believe how many times he spun his bike in the air. Great Britain's Kieran Darren David Riley. And bronze went to France's Anthony Jean-Jean. It was really exciting to watch. I love seeing the BMX here. We had a bunch of judo medals go out. Really cool to see that event. Canoe slalom, Jessica Fox killing it in there. That Fox family in Australia, they love the canoes. We had some more rowing go down. Men's quad sculls. Netherlands won gold. On the women's side, Great Britain won gold. And some swimming. We saw the butterfly final on the men's side, 200 meter. Leon Marchand broke another gold medal there, looking like Michael Phelps, a French Michael Phelps. Silver to Hungary's Christophe Miliak, and bronze to Ilya Caron. First time a Canadian male medaled in the pool since the 2012 Olympics. And yeah, Marchand also won the 200-meter breaststroke final. Like I said, a great swimmer for France. The men's basketball continued. Puerto Rico took on Serbia. It was a big beatdown for Serbia. 7 Serbian players in double figures as they beat Puerto Rico 107 to 66. Big beatdown there. The United States met up with South Sudan. We know they had a exhibition match before the tournament, but the U.S. looked a little more ready to go in this one. Bam Adebayo led the way, 18.7 boards. Joel Embiid was a DMP in this one, just as Steve Kerr had done to Jason Tatum in the game prior. He said it was about matchups, but shout out to Nooni Oma, who led the South Sudan squad in scoring, finishing with 24 on the game. On the women's side, Spain and Puerto Rico. What a game this one was. Spain was the favorite coming in, and it looked all Spain as they had a great first quarter. But Puerto Rico battled back, coming out of halftime, outscoring Spain 19-5 in the third quarter, making things intense down the stretch. Maya Hollingshed would hit a tough shot inside the Puerto Rico, up 62-61 with 10 seconds to go. But Spain would go on the attack, and after a missed 3, they'd get the offensive rebound and get fouled on a putback attempt. And this would send Laura Gill to the line, who'd calmly knock down both free throws, giving Spain the 63-62 win. Dramatic win there. China took on Serbia, and the women's Serbia team would take care of business, outscoring China 19-9 in the fourth quarter, and they'd win 81-59. 3-on-3 basketball continued, and like I said, the U.S. team struggled on both on the men's and the women's side. Canadian women's looking really good on there, and a player from Humboldt on that team, so that's pretty dope. Humboldt, Saskatchewan in the house. On the women's footy side, you had Brazil taking on Spain. What a matchup there. Marta, playing in her 5th Olympics, picked up a straight red card for a harsh tackle in the first half, putting Brazil a person down in the match, but even bigger, possibly ending Marta's Brazilian career on that. She's an icon, and you'd hate to see that to be her last appearance. Spain took advantage of the extra player, scoring 2 goals in the second half as they'd go on to win 2-0. Japan took on Nigeria, an interesting matchup there where Japan opened the scoring. Not even 10 minutes later, they'd add to their lead. Nigeria got one back leading into halftime. With basically the last touch of the first half, Japan would score again. And they lead 3-1 going into the break. And if you missed the first half, you were probably choked as there were no more goals, and Japan took the 3-1 win. Australia took on the USA in a tasty matchup. These two teams always seem to have great games. And the Americans opened the scoring late in the first half when Trinity Rodman scored. Then the 77th minute, Corbin Albert would score a nice one that doubled the lead. Australia got one back through Alana Kennedy, but it was a 2-1 win for the Americans. Zambia took on Germany, and this was all Deutschland. They ended up taking the game 4-1, taking care of Zambia. New Zealand took on the host France, and France got an early goal when Marie-Antoinette Katoto scored to give them the 1-0 lead, and it looked like it would go that way in the halftime until Kate Taylor equalized for New Zealand. But in the second half, just 4 minutes into the half, Katoto would score again to put France up, and they'd take the match 2-1. Canada took on Colombia. Canada appealed their 6-point deduction, as we've talked about DroneGate on last episode. That was declined. So Canada was coming into this match knowing they'd need a win with that 6-point deduction. Was scoreless at halftime, but Canada always looked more likely to score. Lyon was subbed out just before an attacking free kick for Viens, and Canada would take that free kick, and who else but Canada legend Vanessa Gilles met the cross with a header, finding the back of the net, giving Canada the 1-0 lead after 61 minutes. They'd hold on, clinching their spot in the next round. And those matchups in the women's quarterfinals would look like this: USA, Japan, Spain, Colombia, Canada, Germany, France, and Brazil. And then as the day continued, we get more tennis. China's Zhang beat Germany's Angelique Kerber in the third set tiebreak to knock her out. Slovakia's Anna Karolina Schmiedlova keeping her amazing run going, knocking off Czech Barbara Krejcikova in straight sets. Iga Swiatek beat Danielle Collins. That one looked like it was a close one until Collins had to retire in the last set. On the men's side, Novak Djokovic kept rolling. Felix Auger Aliassime, he's such a great Canadian tennis player. I got to get his name right. Pulled off a massive upset, knocking out Daniil Medvedev in straight sets. And you know how great of a player Medvedev is, so that was big there. Italy's Lorenzo Musetti keeping his great tournament going, knocking out Taylor Fritz in straight sets. And the women's doubles side, Canada's Dabrowski and Fernandez lost in straight sets to Andreeva and Schneider out of the independent nation there. I know they're not Russia or Belarus. Makova Noskova out of Czechia knocked out Coco Gauff and Pagula in a third set tiebreak. Not the tournament Coco Gauff was looking for by any means. In men's doubles, you had USA's Krajicek and Ram beat Spain's Alcaraz and Nadal. Nadal-Alcaraz, they had a good run, but that knocked them out, ending Nadal's run. I had mentioned he lost in singles earlier. This knocked him out of doubles and took him out of the tournament. And that was it. That brought us to day 7, August 1st, and we start to see our first bit of athletics, where we saw the men's 20-kilometer race walk and the women's 20-kilometer race walk. An interesting sport where it looks like you're racing to the bathroom. The gold on the men's side went to Ecuador's Brian Daniel Pitando, silver to Brazil, Caio Bonfim, bronze to Spain's Alvaro Martin. On the women's side, you had China's Zhao Yu Yang, silver to Spain's Maria Perez, and bronze to Gemma Montag. Again, you had more rowing medals go out. You had some more judo medals, some of the bigger weights, some fencing medals, and the artistic gymnastics, women's all around. Who else? USA Simone Biles adding another gold. And her teammate, Suni Lee, won the bronze. And sandwiched in between them, how about Rebecca Andrade out of Brazil? I mentioned Brazil in the gymnastics. It's crazy. Like, if you know Brazil, the favelas, very poor neighborhoods, she came out of that, would have to, like, walk distances to practices. She's had 3 torn ACLs in her career. And just to see her doing this, it's amazing what she's done. Like, adversity 101, and she's killing it. Back to swimming, where Summer McIntosh picked up her second gold of the games, winning the 200-meter butterfly, beating USA's Regan Smith and Yufi Zhang. She became the first Canadian to win double gold since sprinter Donovan Bailey did it in '96. And in the 200-meter backstroke, it looked like Greece's Apostolos Christou had it won, but the Hungarian swimmer Hubert Koss caught him at the very end to take the gold. Switzerland's Roman Mayakov took bronze. Women's 4x200 meter freestyle relay was quite the race, with Australia taking gold, silver to USA, and bronze to China. We got some more 3-on-3 basketball where Canada would take a loss and the USA would finally turn things around and pick up a win. You wondered if the women would ever get a win there. Women's basketball on the regular court, Japan and Germany. This one was pretty feisty, but Dallas Wings star of the WNBA, Satu Sabale, she lit it up for Germany, scoring 33 points and 6 rebounds. She was the difference maker as Germany won 75-64. Australia took on Canada, and both teams were looking for a win after Australia had fallen to Nigeria, and Canada could not recover from that brutal second quarter against France. And this one stayed pretty close throughout, but Canada could just never get over that hump. Australia built up a big enough lead that they could withstand a Canadian comeback, and they picked up the 5-point win. Seattle Storm's Sammy Whitcomb led the way for Australia with 19 points. 5 Australians scored in double figures, while Bridget Carleton of the Minnesota Lynx led Canada in scoring with 19 boards and 8 rebounds in the loss. Nigeria was feeling super awesome after their opening game win against Australia, and they were taking on France, and France had no time for that. They ended up taking the game by 21 points. Easy win for the hosts. Belgium took on the U.S., and this was probably the toughest match for the Americans so far, going into the first quarter tied at 23 with Belgium. The USA went on a run mostly through their defense, and they'd go into halftime up 46-38. Third quarter was close, but in the fourth quarter, the Americans went on a big run to expand their lead, capped off with Sabrina Ionescu hitting a late three-pointer and shushing the crowd in a shot that was very reminiscent of Kobe Bryant in the Team USA jersey. But when you got Brianna Stewart and Asia Wilson on your team, it's going to make a difference. Stewart had a game-high 26 points, 7 boards. Asia Wilson with a double-double, 23 points and 13 boards. But Belgium, they must feel pretty good about how they contended there, only losing by 13. And Emma Meesman again leading it for Belgium with 24 points. On the men's side, more 3-on-3 basketball, more USA struggles. They are just struggling, but Latvia, they were just going unbeaten, winning every game in the pool play, really. And we get their first look at golf, where Japan's Hideki Matsuyama led after the first round, shooting a 6-3. Tokyo gold medalist Xander Schauffele just sitting behind him, and you had 3 players just behind that group. The tennis was really winding down. The women's singles semifinal, you had Vekic beating Slovakia's Schmeidlova, ending her amazing run. And you had China's Zhang beating Poland's Iga Swiatek in straight sets. On the men's side, you had quarterfinal matchups. Spain's Carlos Alcaraz beat Tommy Paul in straight sets. Lorenzo Musetti knocked off Alexander Zverev in straight sets, while Canada's Felix Auger-Aliassime beat Casper Ruud in 3 sets, continuing his amazing run to the semifinals. And Serbia's Novak Djokovic beat Stefanos Tsitsipas of Greece in straight sets. In the women's doubles, you had Mukova and Nuskova moving on after their win over Taipei in 3 sets. Iranian Polini won for Italy. Spain's Buxa and Sarib's Tormo kept their run going, and Andreeva and Schneider won for the independent nation. While in doubles semifinal, Krejcik and Ram knocked off Czechia's Macek and Pavlasek in straight sets, and Fritz and Paul beat Great Britain's Evans and Murray, and that defeat pushes Murray into retirement. Like I said, these games were his last bit of tennis, and he goes out in a pretty good way there. And yeah, that took us to the next day. Like I said, these games have just been rolling, but there were some rowing medals given out as well. Diving medals giving out, everything. Sailing, trampoline. We won another medal in Canada, taking the bronze. Sofiane Metho winning bronze in that. We had some badminton medals go out. More judo, more fencing, more gymnastics. Like, when the men's final, you had Ivan Lidvenovich of AIN taking that. You had the 10,000 meter final where Uganda's Joshua Cheptegei won the gold. More BMX racing. This is a little different than the tricks. The racing can get pretty intense. And in the men's, you had a triple French win. Joris Daudet won gold, Sylvain Andre silver, and Romain Mahieu bronze. On the women's side, Australia's Saya Sakabera won gold, Netherlands' Manon Vistra won silver, and bronze Zoe Claessens. In swimming, you had some more wins for Leon Marchand, winning the 200-meter individual medley final. That guy just wins. You had more golf, and after the second round, Xander Schauffele was trying to look as a repeat winner, having a shared lead with Great Britain's Tommy Fleetwood and Japan's Hideki Matsuyama. John Ram was in the mix there, and then you had a 3-way tie with Belgium's Thomas Dietrich, CT Pan of Chinese Taipei, and South Korea's Tom Kim. We had more group play in 3-on-3 basketball, men's and women's side. Great ball being played there. In the men's basketball, Brazil took on Japan as both teams were looking for their first win of the Olympics. And Brazil jumped out to an early start, never really looked back. We finally saw the Bruno Caboclo that we've been expecting to see. The guy who's always been a year away from being a year away finished with a game-high 33 points, 17 rebounds, a huge double-double for him. Josh Hawkinson had a massive double-double for Japan in defeat, 26 points and 10 boards. Yuki Kawamura struggled from the field but finished with 21 points in defeat. Australia took on Greece, and they were down as many as 19 in the first half, going into halftime down 17, but they came back, cutting the lead in the single digits early in the fourth quarter, and we had an intense finish going down to a 2-point game, but Greece held on for the 6-point win, putting a lot of eyes on the Canada-Spain matchup to see who would make it out of that group. And what a game this one was. Canada started off taking a lead in the halftime. In the second half, Spain got their confidence, and they were throwing some punches. Sergio Llull hitting some big shots. 86-85, Shea would get fouled, knock down his free throws to make it a 3-point game. Lowe would have another 3-point try to tie the game, but he'd miss as Canada held on for the 88-85 win, putting them undefeated at 3-0 in group play. Australia finished second in the group, and Greece would barely squeak by as a wild card, eliminating Spain from the Olympics, which is also the last time we'd see Rudy Fernandez suit up for Spain, as this was, like I said, his 6th Olympics. And this set up, we had another big matchup, France and Germany. Wow, huge matchup with the hosts taking on the defending FIBA World Cup champions, Germany. Big game here. Germany outscored France 24-9 in the second quarter, and that huge deficit was just too much to overcome. 14-point defeat by Germany. Franz Wagner and FIBA World Cup MVP Dennis Schroeder each finishing with 26 points, leading the way for Germany. Victor Wembanyama struggled from the field, shooting 5 for 11, but leading the French team in scoring with 14 points and 12 boards. Tough loss for France in that one. Men's footy, we were already at the quarterfinals. You had Morocco taking on the USA, as the US was hoping for a good run, but not such a good run. Easy win for Morocco as they go on to win 4-0. Japan took on Spain, and much like the game before, this was one-sided as Spain would go on to win 3-0. We'd get a close game as Egypt and Paraguay, they'd end up playing and going the extra time where we'd get no goals, and we go to penalties where every shot taker scored except for Paraguay's Marcelo Perez. His shot was stopped, and Egypt pulled out the win in penalties to knock out Paraguay. France and Argentina, this was a rematch of our last World Cup and a matchup of teams that have a little bit of distaste for each other. Remember, Argentina players were seen singing a racist song about how France and their players all come from Africa. The crowd was already against Argentina, and things went even more against Argentina when Jean-Philippe Mateta would find the back of the net and put France up 1-0 after just 5 minutes. This game was very physical, and the game stayed that way most of the game, and the tension was building up. Looked like France put the game on ice in the 85th minute. You'd see Thierry Henry, manager of France, run the length of the pitch to celebrate. The VAR spoiled the party, spotting a foul on the build-up to the goal, which enraged the crowd, and they'd get even angrier when it was announced there'd be 10 minutes of added time. There'd be more fouls, more shots, but no more goals. Final whistle came, and France held on to the 1-0 win. There was plenty of after the whistle discussion, and France's Enzo Milio would pick up a red card post-match. Regardless, France walked away with the win and would face off in the semifinals. As tennis was wrapping up on the women's double side, Italy's Iranian Polini beat Czechia's Muchova and Niskova. Independent nation Andreeva and Schneider beat Spain's Buxa and Cerebes Tormo to advance to the finals. In the singles bronze, you had Poland's Iga Swiatek beat Slovakia's Schmeidlova to win bronze. The semifinals in men's doubles, Ebden and Piers beat USA's Fritz and Paul to go to the final. The men's singles, you had Spain's Carlos Alcaraz and the Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime's run in straight sets, and you had Novak Djokovic knock out Italy's Lorenzo Musetti, setting up a juicy matchup between Alcaraz and Djokovic for a gold medal. In mixed doubles bronze, you had Dabrowski and Auger-Aliassime of Canada beating Netherlands' Schuurs and Koolhof for the bronze. Czechia's Siniakova and Macic beat China's Wang and Zhang to win gold in mixed doubles. And that took us into the weekend where the games continued. You'd have more medals going out for rowing. Women's 8 final. Canada would pick up a silver. Romania winning gold. Great Britain taking bronze. You'd have some more equestrian medals given out. More table tennis, archery, artistic gymnastic. The men's floor exercise went to Philippines' Carlos Adriel Yulo. Big win for him in the Philippines. A women's vault final, Simone Biles, of course, with Brazil's Rebecca Andrade taking silver and USA's Jade Carey taking bronze. We'd see some boxing medals going out, some more fencing, some shot put went to USA's Ryan Krauser, USA's Joe Kovacs, with Jamaica Regindra Campbell and went taking the bronze. The 4x400 relay mixed final, if you haven't seen that, what an ending. The USA had set a world record in the heats leading up to the final, and they look poised to take home the gold. But what an anchored run by the Netherlands. She caught everyone at the very end. Huge comeback, taking the gold for the Netherlands. Silver to US, Great Britain took the bronze. But what a fantastic ending. Now, speaking of a fantastic ending, how about the 100-meter women's final? The fastest woman in the world? Julian Alfred out of St. Lucia, the first gold medal ever for St. Lucia. Congrats to that nation. Silver went to USA Sha'Carri Richardson, and bronze to USA's Melissa Jefferson. But wow, what a race there. And keeping of great racing, how about the men's 100-meter butterfly? Gold, Hungary's Christoph Miliak, but silver and bronze, both Canadians. Silver, Josh Lindu. Bronze, Ilya Karan. But Josh Lindu, one of the first Canadian colored person of color in Canada to win a medal in swimming. It's amazing. He'll be an inspiration for many to come. And speaking of inspiration, how about Summer McIntosh? Her third gold medal. Yeah, you heard that right. She's got to be carrying the flag at the closing ceremonies, picking up the women's 200-meter individual medley. What a frickin' Olympics for her. The women's basketball continued. China took down Puerto Rico in a pretty easy game for them. Serbia and Spain played in a close one. Going into the fourth, Serbia was down 55-38, but they went on a huge run, and this game would end in an 8-point game, but Spain held on. Men's basketball, USA took on Puerto Rico, and it was Anthony Edwards' time to shine. He dominated, leading the Americans with 26 points. U.S. had 5 other players in double figures. Jose Alvarado led the way for Puerto Rico, but an easy 104-83 win for the Americans as they go to 3-0 in group play. Serbia took on South Sudan as both teams were looking for a crucial second win of the tournament. This one was close, going back and forth down the stretch. But South Sudan did face some foul trouble late, which really helped Serbia pull away. Atlanta Hawks' Bogdan Bogdanovic went off for Serbia, scoring 30 points. Multiple NBA MVP Nikola Jokic scored 22 points and 13 rebounds. South Sudan's Carlick Jones played every minute of the game and shared the team lead in points at 17 with Mariel Shayok, who also scored 17. Serbia got the win, but what a debut for South Sudan. They played some stiff competition, have really held their own. Head coach Royal Ivey really has to be impressed with the squad. Noel Dang has a powerhouse in the making. It said Dang has been funding everything for his team out of pocket, from travel costs to apparel. He's really done it all for the team. He's really representing his country in the best way here. People used to shit on that deal the Lakers gave Luol Deng near the end of his career, but you can see the fruition of what this deal is coming for. Maybe it didn't work for them on the court, but off the court, he's really making a difference. More 3-on-3 ball continued, and that led us into the women's footy quarterfinals as all these tournaments are coming to the end. This one would go to extra time between USA and Japan. Both teams producing chances, but not a lot of shots. But in extra time, Trinity Rodman would get a pass from Crystal Dunn, find the back of the net, putting the U.S. up 1-0 in the second minute of first half stoppage time. That late goal would be the difference maker as the U.S. advanced to the semifinals. Spain took on Colombia, and Colombia shocked Spain when they opened the scoring just 12 minutes in. And then Colombia doubled their lead in the 52nd minute. This looked like disaster for Spain, but they got one back in the 79th minute through Jennifer Hermoso. Then in stoppage time, Paredes would equalize, tying the game in the 97th minute. We get no goals in extra time, and we go to penalties. And in penalties, Aitana Bonmati would step up for Spain. The current Ballon d'Or winner would put her shot in, and Spain would win 4-2 on penalties, moving on to the semifinals. Another big juicy quarterfinal matchup, two great teams, Canada and Germany. Canada was dealing with the whole drone gate conspiracy, and we're even surprised to be in this situation. And they had tons of chances, but so did Germany, hitting the crossbar. Despite all these chances, we'd go to penalties. Extra time wouldn't bring anything. Each of the first shooters hit their shot. Then Canada's second shooter, Ashley Lawrence, had a soft shot stop. And then Germany, the next shot taker, Sydney Lohman, blasted it over. Canada's next shot taker and usual, very reliable Adriana Leon had her soft shot stop. Roch would score for Germany. Janine Becky scored for Canada. And then the German keeper, Berger, would step up, calmly find the back of the net. Germany won 4-2 on penalties. They'll have a rematch with the Americans. And we looked in the rebound from their performance earlier. And I'm going to sound like a homer here, but I cannot say how proud I am of this Canada team. People have hated on them, called them cheaters. I don't think the players had anything to do with that. I think it was all on the coaching staff, defending gold medalist of last Olympics. They were handcuffed from the beginning of this tournament and fought to get to the knockout stages. Well, this produces the question of where's the women's team going forward? The talent's there, the desire to win is there, but who's going to be the leader to bring this Canada team to the next level? Because they need to overcome this drone bullshit real quick, because that is not a good stain you want. In the last quarterfinal matchup, France and Brazil, a battle of two teams that are very tough. Looked like the hosts had more chances to find the opening goal. However, we wouldn't get one until the 82nd minute. Brazil's Gabby Portillo would find the back of the net, silencing the pro-France crowd. And despite 60 minutes of added time, Brazil would hold on to the 1-0 win, advancing to the semifinals. There they'll match up with Spain, and Brazil has appealed the red card given to Marta in that last game of group play, which was against Spain, and they're hoping to have the icon back. It doesn't look like she'll be back for the matchup against Spain, but they're hoping this appeal will help her get into the medal game if that comes. Back to tennis as it rounded up the men's double gold medal match. You had Ebden and Piers of Australia beating USA's Krajcik and Ram in a third set tiebreak. They lost the first set and were down in the second, but overcame adversity to win that. And the USA, Fritz and Paul won the bronze medal in the men's doubles, knocking out Czechia's guys in straight sets. Singles bronze medal in tennis, Italy's Lorenzo Musetti beat Canada's Felix Auger-Aliassime to win bronze. Again, amazing run for Felix in Canada there. The women's singles gold medal, China's Zheng beat Croatia Donna Vekic in straight sets to take that. Golf, you have the third round up with Spain's John Rahm and USA's Xander Schauffele leading the way. Great Britain's Tommy Fleetwood sat one stroke back, while you had Nikolai Hojgaard, who had a hell of a third round. Japan's Hideki Matsuyama at 11 under. So lots of guys in the mix there, leading us into Sunday, which, what a fucking final round in golf. John Rahm had a 4-shot lead with 8 holes to play, finished in 5th. Really struggling down the stretch. You got to witness number 1 ranked golfer in the world really turn it up. Scotty Scheffler really lit it up down the stretch as he'd take the gold medal, keeping it with the USA. Silver went to Great Britain's Tommy Fleetwood, and Japan's Hideki Matsuyama won bronze, even though he had chances to move up there. Got a feel for Kim from South Korea. His 4th place finish almost vetoed him from having to do mandatory South Korea military service. You could see the emotion on his face after the round. You had some boxing medals go out here. Canada got involved. Their first boxing medal in many moons. Wyatt Sanford taking the bronze. You got some cycling medals, more gymnastic medals, badminton. Everything was lighting it up. For fencing, high jump, hammer throw, we saw the first time in Olympic history that a Canadian man has won hammer throw. Ethan Katzberg, shout out to him there. We did see the rare occurrence of a pole vaulter who didn't get over the bar because his wang smacked the bar. One of those things where I guess his big wang didn't help him there. But you had the men's 100-meter final. Who's the fastest man in the world? Noah Lyles has been talking shit, and it worked out. He caught Jamaican Keishane Thompson late to win by 5,000ths of a second, earning the gold. The gap between first and eighth was only 0.12 of a second, the smallest gap between first and eighth in a race. We didn't even see Canadian flag bearer DeGrasse in this. He didn't even make the final, so that was rough for him. We had some more swimming wrapping up. Men's 4x100 medley relay went to China, silver USA, bronze to France. On the women's side, gold to USA, silver Australia, bronze to China. You had more sports entering quarterfinals like field hockey, women's basketball. Belgium laid the spanking on Japan. Emma Meesman looking great for Belgium, scoring a game-high 30 points and 11 boards. Canada took on Nigeria. It was a must-win for Canada as they were hoping for their first win in the Olympics, and the first half was tight. And Canada even led by 4 entering the halftime break, but they fell apart in the second half. Nigeria outscored Canada 23-5 in the third quarter, and they cruised to the victory. Azine Kalu, a great game for Nigeria, 21 points. Nigeria advanced to the knockout stages first time ever, becoming the first African nation, men's or women's, to make it to the quarterfinals. Massive achievement for Nigeria, while Canada back to the drawing board. The inability to hit down an outside shot really went against them in this one. Germany took on the USA, and it was a close game for a while until the USA pulled away late and took that one 87-68. They go undefeated in group play. Australia took on France in a battle of two tough teams. It was tied at halftime, but Australia came out in the third and took a 9-point lead into the fourth. The French battled back, but they could not come all the way back as Australia took the 79-72 win. More 3-on-3 play continued. Women's doubles bronze match. You saw Spain's Buxa and Sarib's Tormo win in straight sets to take the bronze. In gold, you saw Italy's Arani and Polini take out Andreeva and Schneider to win gold. And then the men's single match, you had Djokovic and Carlos Alcaraz, the old and the young. What a battle. Both sets went to a tie break where you'd see Djokovic pull out the victory. But man, what a match. 7-6, 7-6. That's what you want. Neither tennis player got broken during the games. It was amazing to see. Something else. And that took us to yesterday. As a new week began in the Olympics, it was a holiday here in Saskatchewan. Got to see the triathlon mixed relay where Germany took gold, silver USA, bronze Great Britain. Didn't look like too many more people got sick. You had some more gymnastics, more badminton. In artistic gymnastics, women's floor, you saw Brazil's Rebeca Andrade win again, becoming Brazil's all-time winningest medalist. Silver went to Simone Biles of USA and bronze to USA Jordan Childs. And it was a cool moment on the podium as both Americans were bowing to Andrade, just giving an honor to a great Olympian who's having a hell of an Olympics and really making Brazil proud. We saw some surfing medals given out. The volleyball men's quarterfinals were something else. Poland knocked out Slovenia. Italy came back from 2 sets down to beat Japan. France was down 2-0, and they came back to beat Germany. That was crazy. USA knocked out Brazil. More field hockey women's quarterfinals. The 3-on-3 basketball women's semifinals was crazy. Spain knocked out USA 18-16 in overtime to advance to the finals. USA struggled throughout group play but turned it around to make the semis, just to fall short. And then another game that was tight, Germany and Canada. This went back and forth. Germany hit a tough shot with just seconds left to go to the gold medal round, sending Canada the bronze. And in that bronze medal round, the USA beat Canada just barely, 16-13 to win the bronze. Great run for Canada, who just fell a little short. And in the women's goal on 3-on-3, you had Germany and Spain. This one went back and forth. Spain cut into that lead and were down 17-16. Germany was trying to kill the clock a bit and got called with a travel, setting up a last chance for Spain with 7 seconds left. They tried to fade away at the buzzer but came up short. Huge gold medal for Germany as Spain takes the silver. On the men's side, the Netherlands took on Lithuania. Easy match as they went to the gold medal match. Latvia took on France, and Latvia was unbeaten in group play, but they got beaten big time by France as they moved on to the gold medal game. And Latvia faced Lithuania and lost again. So Latvia unbeaten in group play, losing back-to-back games and missing out on the medals. That's 3-on-3 though. Setting up the gold medal match with France and Netherlands. This one was a doozy that could have went either way. We went to overtime, and de Jong hit a ridiculous fade away from long range to secure the win for the Netherlands. The Dutch flag bearer showing why he had that honor. Massive gold medal for Netherlands as France took silver. Men's footy semifinals, you had Morocco and Spain. Huge matchup here. VAR got involved early, and Morocco got a spot kick where Rahimi, who's been a scoring machine, put Morocco up 1-0 after 37 minutes. But a ghastly turnover by Morocco just outside the 18 led to Fermin Lopez scoring, and it was tied up. And then they'd get another one in the 85th minute. A go-ahead goal by Spain put them up, and they'd take the win 2-1, keeping the Spanish winning fever going as they head to the gold medal match. The other semifinals was between Egypt and France. Egypt would go ahead in the 62nd minute. You could hear the nerves in the French stadium. They would turn in the jubilation after Michael Olise found Jean-Philippe Mateta, and he found the back of the net, tying the game at 83. The fans were right back into it. It looked like a handball, possibly by Egypt in the box. VAR said no. We go on to extra time. We're in extra time. you'd see a red card given. And this red card came out to Fayed, whose first yellow card was ridiculous. He blocked the ref who was going to check VAR, yellow, just to get another yellow right in extra time. And then that's where Crystal Palace's Mateta scored again. He's been a scoring machine for France, going up 2-1. And then Elise would add another 3-1 win for France. Big time win. They face off with Spain in a battle of footy titans on Friday, August 9th, of the gold medal. Egypt will face Morocco in an all-African battle for bronze, August 8th. So even as I'm recording this, the Olympic Games continue. 12 deeps now, official now. A lot of events that had group or pool play are now in quarterfinals or even semifinals. It's where Olympic medals are won or lost. I talked up the men's volleyball quarterfinals. The women have begun their play today. Handball, water polo, field hockey, all in their knockout stages. More canoeing, climbing, and athletics going on. Plus wrestling is going on as Taekwondo doesn't start today but starts tomorrow. The biggest eyes have been on boxing, and a lot of eyes will today be on Algerian boxer Ramain Khalif. She'll be boxing Thailand's Suwanafeng later today. And early in the Olympics, Khalif was fighting Italian boxer Angela Carini. After a few punches, the Italian boxer quit the fight, saying she has never been hit like that, even questioning the gender of Khalif, who has had controversy mostly through the IBA, but this of course caused a shit pour of people talking about, even saying, well, this transgender shouldn't be in there, but she has Swire syndrome. This isn't a transgender thing by any means. I'm not a scientist, but this makes her have an XY complete donatal dysgenesis, so she has woman parts, but some man physicality, physical traits as well. It's a tricky one, but she's passed testing. She is a woman, so despite what people say, she's legit to compete. I mean, Brittany Griner on the USA basketball team has physical advantages that other women don't have, and I don't think she needs to be punished for it. And just as the same as Khalif, I'm interested to see how that fight goes. If she loses, she gets a bronze. If she wins, she competes for gold. In a similar instance with Lin Yuting of Taipei, her bout tomorrow with Turkey's Ezra Yildiz Karaman, the winner of that bout will fight for gold. And the same issue. She's got similar physical traits that reflect that of a man. So we're seeing tons of keyboard biologists come out of the woodwork to talk about this, but I wish they had that same energy regarding Dutch volleyball player Steven van de Velde, the convicted child rapist that was allowed to participate in this game. Bring that energy there. But back to the semifinals today, women's footy. USA taking on Germany in that rematch. Brazil taking on Spain, also a rematch. We know Marta will still be suspended from that red card she picked up against Spain. It's been appealed, but she won't be in this game. They're hoping that she'll be available for the medal game, depending on what medal they're going for. I think Germany will play better in their game against the U.S., but I still see the U.S. advancing in the gold medal game. I see Spain prevailing again against Spain, setting up a bout between the U.S. and Spain. The game could go either way. I think the U.S. will come in tons of hype and feel like they're going to win, but I feel Spain's going to humble them and win a gold medal. And in the bronze medal game, Marta will make her last appearance for Brazil after that appeal goes well, and they'll win the bronze in her last hurrah. I mentioned the men's finals already set. Egypt taking on Morocco for bronze. I have Morocco winning. France meeting up with Spain. We're in the game. I have the French winning the gold on their home soil. Finally giving Spain a loss in a big final. Big basketball quarterfinals begin today in men's hoops. One already in the book. Defending FIBA World Cup champions Germany have already eliminated Greece. Greece got out to a hot start and had the lead over Germany after one quarter, but Germany won every quarter after, taking the 76-63 win as Germany moves on to the semifinals. The other big quarterfinal matchup today are all doozies. Serbia and Australia. It's probably on right now. Serbia picked up the silver medal without Jokic in the FIBA World Cup, but I have Australia sneaking past the Serbians in this one. I don't know if I can say that in a Jokic jersey, but here we go. Biggest matchup in Canadian hoops is Canada taking on the host France. I always rock my Spurs Wembanyama jersey, but I'll be about Canada in this one. Hopefully by the time you're listening to this, Canada has the game clinched. It's going to be a hella tough, though, and if anyone can do it, it's Canada. I'm looking for RJ Barrett to continue his great playing in the Canada jersey, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The time is now. This brings the last quarterfinal of the day, which is Brazil and the United States. Brazil finally got some good play out of Bruno Caboclo in their last win, but I see the U.S. easily taking this one. And as the bracket unfolds, the bronze and gold medal games will be Saturday, August 10th on the women's side. The quarterfinals commence tomorrow, just like on the men's bracket. Serbia takes on Australia. Spain will face off with Belgium, Germany will face France, and Nigeria will play the underdog roles against the United States. USA are clear favorites to win the gold, but anything can happen. This morning, there were already medals given out in equestrian for jumping individual final jump off. Germany's Christian Kukoc took gold, Switzerland's Steven Gerday with silver, and Netherlands' Michael van der Vleuten took bronze. Man, I love the Olympics. It's a lot there. Then Major League Baseball, some quick trades here. The Kansas City Royals acquired Michael Lorenzen from the Rangers in exchange for reliever Walter Pennington. You remember me talking about Lorenzen getting blown up by the Jays in their series the weekend prior. The new Kansas City scenery should hopefully help him forget that outing. St. Louis Cardinals acquired right-hand pitcher Eric Fedde in a three-wheel deal that also sees utility man Tommy Edman head to the Dodgers, while the Chicago White Sox get much-needed prospects. The Toronto Blue Jays were not done dealing. The Mariners, they sent Justin Turner to Seattle. The Blue Jays also traded UC Kikuchi to the Astros. Got a big haul back for him, though. The Brewers acquired Frankie Montes from the Reds in exchange for Joey Wiemer and Jacob Eunice. Pirates acquired Jalen Beeks from the Rockies. Cleveland Guardians acquired Lane Thomas from the Nationals. The Braves acquired Jorge Soler from the Giants. Jays weren't done. They traded right-handed pitcher Trevor Richards to the Twins. They continued the fire sale, sending utility man Isaiah Kiner-Falefa to the Pirates. Orioles acquired Eloy Jimenez from the White Sox. The Dodgers got even better, acquiring Jack Flaherty from the Tigers and Kevin Kiermaier from the Blue Jays. And some bad news for the Angels, where Mike Trout, the former MVP, will again miss the rest of a season with a meniscus tear in his knee. Nothing but injuries for that guy. You hate to see it. The Blue Jays, last week's episode, they were opening a 4-game series with the Orioles. They had a doubleheader, which they split. You thought things were going to look pretty good, but they'd go on to lose the next 2 games. And then the finale with the Orioles. Orioles youngster Jackson Holliday would hit his first ever home run, which happened to be a grand slam, and Holliday became just the 3rd player in Orioles history to hit a grand slam in his first MLB home run, joining Frank Baker of 1973 and Fritz Connolly of 85. He's also the 8th youngest player in AL/NL history to have his first home run be a grand slam. Pretty cool history for the Baltimore youngster. The Jays would then go on the road to continue on the road as they took on the Yankees, and they'd steal the first game before losing the next 2. The Blue Jays continue their tough AL East stretch, facing off the Orioles starting today in a 3-game series, this time in Toronto. They then host the Athletics in a 3-game series over the weekend. So we talk to Jays, we talk about their tough division, the American League East, and as of the recording of this podcast, the AL East division lead is shared by the Orioles and the New York Yankees. Both teams sitting at 67 and 46. The Orioles, as mentioned, have a 3-game series with the Blue Jays before continuing their road trip to Tampa to take on the Rays. The Yankees have back-to-back series at home, hosting the LA Angels and then the Texas Rangers. Both the Orioles and Yankees will be looking to lead the division by next week's episode. I could see both of them actually sweeping those series and remaining tied. The Boston Red Sox are still hanging around, just 6 games back of the leaders. The Rays, even though they appear to be sellers, can make up some ground in that series against the Orioles as they sit 9 back in the division. Then there's the Toronto Blue Jays. As mentioned in the trades portion, this team totally looks different. Lots of young talent coming in, but it could be a struggle to end the season. The one bright spot, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., he's been an absolute lights out, taking home AL Player of the Week for his dynamite play. Too bad the rest of the team isn't playing like that. From the East to the AL Central, we start with the Cleveland Guardians, still leading the division, but they got to be careful. The Minnesota Twins are only 3.5 games back. And once the Guardians wrap up their series with the Diamondbacks and the Twins wrap up theirs with the Cubs, these 2 AL Central teams will be facing off in a 4-game series in Minnesota. Depending on how that series go, we could have a new division leader or a bigger gap between the teams. Should be a juicy series. The Royals aren't out yet either. They sit 1.5 games back of the Twins, 5 back of the Guardians. And the Tigers have sold some players off here, and they're 14.5 games back of the division lead. But no one struggled like the Chicago White Sox. I kept mentioning how they're the only team that hasn't registered 30 wins in the major leagues, and nothing's changed. I do weekly episodes, and they have still not budged. This current 21-game losing streak has gotten insane. Their most recent loss to the A's puts them at 21, which is tied the AL record for longest losing streak. They have now equaled the mark of the 88 Baltimore Orioles. The NL record is held by the 61 Philadelphia Phillies, who lost 23 in a row. And the Major League record, we're going way back, 1889 Louisville Colonels, an American Association team that lost 26 consecutive games. Let's hope the White Sox don't enter that kind of territory. That streak is rough on everyone. Wrapping up the American League, we go to the AL West and start with the division-leading Seattle Mariners, who made some moves before the deadline to try to boost their bats. Justin Turner sure brought the boost. The former Blue Jay hit a grand slam in his first appearance in Mariners colors. The kind of hitting Toronto was really hoping to get out of Turner before trading him. The Mariners have a 1.5 game advantage over second place in the division, the Houston Astros, who also made moves at the deadline, which had people scratching in their head, like the acquisition of Yusei Kikuchi. But his first outing went well. The Japanese pitcher struck out 11 on his debut. And it'll be a big battle to see which of those two teams take the division. Or it might even be the Texas Rangers. I mean, they struggled lately, and they're 5 games back of the lead, but they're still in it. The Angels are still technically alive at 9.5 games back, even though they're troutless the rest of the season. And the Athletics have won some games lately, but they still reside in the AL West basement, 12.5 games back of the Mariners. We leave the AL for the National League and start out west with the division-leading Dodgers. The gap is not that big now in the division, as their mediocre play combined with the hot play of the teams below them, that gap is closed. The Diamondbacks have won 8 of their last 10 and sit 5 back. Last year's World Series finalists are really starting to find their way again. Tied with those Diamondbacks just 5 games back are the San Diego Padres. They've also won 8 of their last 10 and they're clicking. And another team in the division that have won 8 of their last 10, how about the San Francisco Giants? They're still 9.5 games back in the division, but they've got big help from Blake Snell. He threw a no-hitter against the Reds, striking out 11 along the way and earning NL Player of the Week honors. With those teams thriving, someone needs to be struggling, and that is the basement-dwelling Colorado Rockies, who at this point have the lowest number of wins in the National League with 41. Going to the NL Central, we start with the division-leading Milwaukee Brewers, who have struggled a bit, but they still have a 6-game advantage in the division. There are 2 teams just 6 games back, the Pirates and St. Louis Cardinals. Both have been playing around 500 ball, but if either go on a run, they could threaten the Brewers a bit. Just a game and a half back of those 2 teams are the Cincinnati Reds, who have been also playing so-so ball and sit just under 500. And the basement of the division, just half a game back of the Reds, are the Chicago Cubs. This division from first to last is only separated by 9 games, and a very exciting division that could change in an instant if teams get hot. And wrapping up our division check-ins, we go to the NL East, starting with the division-leading Philadelphia Phillies. They've been struggling lately, so much so that their lead in the division has faltered to just 5.5 games. The injury-riddled Atlanta Braves are slithering up in the division standings, and as are the New York Mets. The best thing that happened to that team was the appearance of Grimace from the old McDonald ads. That since he has appeared, they've been playing much better, and they're just a game and a half behind the Braves. The Nationals have sold off some players at the deadline, and it's showing. They're 15.5 games back of the Phillies. The Marlins have played a little better lately and no longer have the lowest number of wins in the National League, as the Rockies now have that title. NFL news, we got to see the NFL Hall of Fame game. Houston Texans faced off with the Bears. Nice look at the slow return of NFL football. It was interesting to see the new kickoff rules in place. I'm not going to lie, that's all I really watch for. None of the starters, including Chicago Bears' #1 overall pick, Caleb Williams, was involved in the game. But speaking of the Bears, they did give big money, 4-year, $110 million contract extension to DJ Moore, keeping the wide receiver in town. Hall of Fame enshrinements took place over the weekend. We get to see some of our favorites do their thing. Andre Johnson looking emotional as he was the first Houston Texan to get enshrined. Julius Pepper giving shout-outs to fellow North Carolina alums like Michael Jordan. Patrick Willis, Devin Hester, Randy Grandisar, Dwight Freeney all look great. Bittersweet induction for Chicago Bear legend Steve McMichael. Great to see him finally get his honor. But tough seeing him in the hospital with his family, drastically looking different. ALS is a scary thing. This induction brought honor to him, but also showed what a terrible disease that is. I'm glad to see he got to witness his own induction there. European footy news, few announcements. Ricardo Calafiore has left Bologna and is officially with Arsenal, where he'll rock the number 33. Fulham signed former Arsenal man Emile Smith-Rowe for $27 million plus add-ons. Some sad news with legendary French club Bordeaux as they filed bankruptcy and renounced their professional status, meaning their players will be released from their contracts, training facilities will be closed. Six-time league champions have played European footy as recent as 2019 and Champions League in 2010. Sad to see a legendary club fall apart. And more sad news involving a manager we love to watch. Former Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp announced his coaching career is done for now. He stepped down from Liverpool. We said, what's next? Well, apparently it's not coaching. The NHL, Brock Faber signed an 8-year, $68 million contract extension to stay in Minnesota. Longtime NHL player Evgeny Kuznetsov has returned to the KHL to play for St. Petersburg. Carolina signed restricted free agent Martin Necas to a 2-year deal. Speaking of Carolina, longtime Hurricane Eric Stahl announced his retirement. After 1,365 games, he calls it a career, and his number 12 will be retired by the Hurricanes. In boxing, Terence Crawford beat Israel Medrimov in a lackluster fight to become a 4-division champ, winning the WBA junior middleweight title. Another big win for Crawford, which makes us wonder, when is the Crawford-Canelo Alvarez fight? Is that ever going to happen? I don't know. F1, we're on a break right now, but Carlos Sainz will join Alex Albon at Williams. We knew Carlos would need a new home after Lewis Hamilton announced he'd be at Ferrari, so that leaves American Logan Sargent on the outside looking in. With this episode, tons of Olympics talk. And I thought, you know what, for a random task that should have got me a medal, or something worse, I guess. Now, I'm going to use the word allegedly for legal purposes here. So a buddy of ours was living in Moose Jaw going to school. We all went down to visit him, had some pretty good times. One of the days we went to the Thomas Cook to have some drinks and a meal. We ordered a Titanic. You know, if you're not familiar, it's a massive jug of beer. We killed that thing. It sunk like the ship did back in 1912. We were feeling it. We were ready to go. We went to the till. We stood there for like 10 minutes, making it obvious we're ready to pay. We're both like, WTF, mate. And my buddy's like, just head out. I got this. And then as I'm out there waiting in my car, I see my buddy come out. And he had a bad knee at this time, so he was running with a Terry Fox gait. He came into the car, and he's like, go, go, go. I was like, oh, shit. So I'm in the Plymouth Neon, trying to start it. Starter issues, it's just going like, ring, ring. It won't start. I'm like, oh, this is karma. But one of my tricks were put it in neutral and, kind of rock it to get it going. So we're rocking the car outside this restaurant. Eventually it starts. I'm like, yeah, I drive. I'm like, fuck, I shouldn't be driving, and I don't even know where I'm going. So we make it 2 blocks. I pull over, let my buddy who lives there drive us back to his apartment. But that was a shithouse scene that could have ended up way worse, from rumbling, the stumbling, the straight up shithousery. Another story of things that happens when you visit your buddies in school. So that's episode 72 in the books. I just realized I didn't even do the jersey mention, so we'll have to edit that shit in later, but episode 32 in the book, still trucking. Olympics still dominating this episode as it's dominating a lot of people's lives, but should be coming up to a wrap soon here. We got another week of it, but thanks again for tuning in. Sports and Shorts of Sorts. It's your man, Ren City. Ren City out.